Do you know what Ezekiel 4:9 bread is? You used to only be able to find it at health food stores, but now you can find it at Fred Meyer and Safeway, Whole Foods, PCC, QFC, pretty much any place you can find it. Sometimes it's on the bread shelf, but more likely than not, it is kept in the freezer section. This is what Ezekiel 4:9 says from the Bible. And you take wheat and barley, beans and lentils, millet and spelt, put them into one vessel, and make bread for yourselves. That's where the recipe comes from. But most people don't know the weird story behind why the Bible has a recipe for bread. So here's the story. So Ezekiel was a prophet. You probably know that. During the last days of Jerusalem, before the Babylonians came in and destroyed the city and took people captive and killed a lot of people, and God sends Ezekiel out into the wilderness and gives him a set of prophetic acts to do out there in the wilderness. And these prophetic acts announce to the people this coming doom. The acts that Ezekiel perform out there in the wilderness are kind of symbolic of what are going to happen to the people during this time when the Babylonians come in. They're going to have a hard time, basically. There's going to be a siege, there's going to be a famine, there's going to be a lot of deaths. It's not going to be pretty. This bread that they are to make is not normal bread. You know, in good times they would make bread with choice wheat and honey and oil. But this bread that they're called to make is the kind of bread you settle for when you don't have enough of any one kind of flour. This recipe makes bread, but it's not good bread. It's famine bread is what it is. Okay, but here it gets weirder. In verse 12, Ezekiel is commanded to, quote, "Eat the food as you would a loaf of barley bread. Bake it in the sight of the people, using human excrement for fuel." Yep, you heard that right. God commands this because it shows how bad things are going to get. The city is going to be so devastated during the siege by the Babylonians that human excrement is the only thing that's going to be available to build fires. And there's also a little bit of a sense of punishment for the people, that the people are unclean, have become unclean, and therefore they are to eat unclean food. Well, Ezekiel complains to God about this, as I'm sure most people would. So God says to the prophet, "Bake it over cow dung instead." Oh no, that's not much better. You'll notice on the bag of bread that it comes in, they only include the first part of verse 9, the part with the ingredients. They also don't quote verse 12. So I think that we can be relatively sure that the bread you buy in the store is not baked over human excrement or cow excrement. Let's hope anyways. See you next time for more weird stories from the Bible.